Mike's on.
Mike's on?
Hot Mike.
Okay. I think we're live. I was busy messing. I've got two screens going on here because I thought it would be fun to see if I could see you guys, see who's out there, but it just messes everything up. We need to get another monitor over here for me to see so I can actually see who's here. But I did see a few names, so I know Will's here and Jen Ray's here and who else? I forgot. So anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome. Blah, blah, blah. It is Thursday night here at LDRS Creative. We're in studio and we're gonna do some. We're gonna have some fun tonight with some stencils. What?
Nothing.
Can you hear me? Is sound good?
Yeah.
Is all good? Okay.
I was wondering there for me.
Okay. So I have got my new purple sweatshirt on. I don't know about you guys, but I am really enjoying kind of cozying up with the cold weather that we're getting here in Michigan. I love it. I love fall, and I love it as we head into winter, and you get out of those shorts and all those little summer dresses and all that stuff, and I love getting all snug up in my sweaters and my sweatshirts and stuff. So I think I'm more of a cold weather girl with a vacation in a sunny place. But anyway, so tonight we are going to be playing with some stencils, and I'm excited about this because the whole layering stencil thing, they're so popular right now, and we worked really hard to come up with a way to make it so easy for everybody to use our stencils and to make it so that you could stamp anywhere on the page that you wanted to stamp, and not have to worry about making sure that you're keeping everything in the corner, like so you can position your stencils in the corner of whatever it is you're stenciling in or stamping in. I just wanted it to be universal, and so we came up with we came up with I think a kind of a cool way of doing it. So we're going to talk about that today, and I'm not using Christmas colors just yet. If you remember last week, we used really vibrant colors. Fall, but still, I mean, real vibrant. I mean, I added like a real bright pink into fall, and I'm not ready to go into Christmas colors just yet. I think I'm probably gonna wait until December before I start working with Christmas stuff, because I don't want to get sick of it, and I really want to enjoy this season right now, and I'm in the mood to work with autumn or fall colors. So that's what I'm going to keep working with. So we're going to get moving on to camera numero 2. And I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing today. Okay, so this, let me get my glasses so I can see what we're doing. This is the Thankful Flowers. It's called a slim line because of the length. This is a 4x8 stamp set. Gently loved already. You can see that I've already been stamping with it. Thankful Flowers Slimline. It has one long stamp in it with these gorgeous, I think they look kind of bohemian-like, these flowers. I think they're kind of cool. And then we have the Thanks for Everything and with a Grateful Heart sentiments. If we turn this over, ignore the little warning sticker. The warning is just a suffocation warning for the bag. But on the back of the packaging, we always give you a colored image to show you how you can get things colored up. And it just gives you a much better idea of what the image looks like instead of looking at the stamp. So then, per usual, we have a coordinating die set for this as well. It's going to cut out that large, beautiful floral spray there, or spread, or bouquet, whatever you want to call it. And then it also has 2 dies to cut out your sentiments. And on the back, we map it out. And of course, up here, we always tell you, this coordinates with that, and so on and so forth. The magic happens here with the Thankful Flowers stencils. This is an 8 stencil pack, and you can see I've already gently loved it. 8 stencils in total. And on the back here, Alan, you want to come into camera 3? Alan, if you're new here, Alan is my husband/producer. So he's going to help navigate everything here. So on the back of our stencils, if they are layering stencils, we walk you through. Is something wrong?
No.
What's wrong?
Nothing.
Okay. We walk you through, stencil A, stencil B, So it's 1A, 1A, or I'm sorry, 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B. That gives you the order of, operations, so to speak, how you're going to apply your stencils. And it also lets you know that, stencils 1A and 1B are going to be for one color. Stencils 2A and 2B, if you want to change colors, those are going to layer up and color the same flowers together. 3A and 3B, those will layer up to color the same flowers. And then the same thing with 4A and 4B are going to layer up to color all of your foliage. And here, there's a little note here that says gray outlines indicate the etched area on each stencil for alignment and placement purposes. That is key. And so I'm going to show you what that means, because this is really, really cool. And I'm going to go through this. You're going to see me using them. So let me put this here so you can see better. Maybe there we go. Yeah, it's a little bit easier to see when I have something behind it. Notice at the bottom we have it's going to be labeled with LDRS Creative. All right. Let me see if I can get this in camera. It's easier to see in person than it is. It's got to catch the light with the cameras. We have a 1A in the bottom corner. So each one of these stencils is going to have a number. It's an alphanumeric order of operation. So we put that on each of them. The first stencil is not going to have any of those alignment guides, because this one you can place anywhere you want on your page. Now, when we get to stencil number 2, all right, it's actually 1B, all right, so 1B. When we get to the next stencil, you're going to see where the lines, where everything is cut out, right? But do you notice there's also a little outline that goes around there? You can see it in pink now because I've actually stenciled over in pink. But you see that little outline that's not where it's surrounding the cutout. Those are your alignment guides. Those are going to line up with this with flowers on this stencil, for example. So if I lay this out, those are going to line up. And then you're going to see the difference in the stencils. But that is your alignment guide. It'll make more sense once I start working with it. But you will see these alignment guides as we go through. And as see the alignment guides in there? There we go, caught the light. See? So we have some of the, where you're going to stencil through, that's where it's cut. And then the others where it's not cut all the way through, that's what you use for alignment. And I promise you, it's much easier to see. There it is. We caught the light. It's much easier to see in person than it is for me to catch it on camera. So what are the measurements? Somebody's asking, what are your measurements of a slimline? Our slimline dies. Now, let me grab this one here for you, because this is, let's go back out, Alan. Well, no, leave it here. This is the slimline die set that I'm going to be working with. This is called the Diagonal Stitch Postage Frames Slimline. So ignoring that outermost die right now, because that one is actually going to cut your, like a card base. Our card toppers for all of our slimline dies are going to measure, oh my goodness, what is it? It's 3 3¼ I'm messing up my measurements. I think it's 3¼ by 8¼ and then the one for the card base is going to measure 3½ by 8½ I'm right, I got it. You're so funny. Yes, so it's 3¼ oh my goodness, you're hilarious. So 3¼ by 8¼ oh my goodness. All right, mister, go. That would be my husband. So all the card toppers for our slimlines are going to be 3¼ wide by 8¼ long. And then the outermost die that we have added now to our 2 newest slimline dies, that one only cuts on 3 sides, and the 4th side goes over a fold so that you can cut a card base that is a little bit larger than your card topper. So you can use it to cut a card base that is 3½ by 8½, which is right in range of what a lot of them are. I mean, both of the measurements that I've given you for a card topper as well as for that outer die. You know, it's interesting that you said, what are your measurements for slimline? Because different companies different companies do have different measurements. But we have made sure that all the ones that we do will fit. Like if you have an envelope die or envelopes from, another company or something, everything should still fit in there. Okay, let's go back to camera 2, Alan. So that shows you all the things that we're going to work with today. And we're going to get started because I'm going to be doing color blending. We're going to be using my favorite. This is what I use whenever I do color blending. Strathmore Bristol Smooth Surface. We do have this in the store. I'm going to grab a piece of this and I'm going to stamp on this and we're going to do our color blending on this. I've actually got a piece already cut in here. I'm not going to cut it to any particular size. I am going to trim it down just a little bit. It's automatically 9 inches in length. So if you look at the cover here, where is it? It says that it's 9 by 12. So my MISTI will only fit up to 8.5 inches. So I am going to trim down the length on this. This is just an extra piece. I had trimmed something off of it to use it, previously. So I'm just going to trim 1/2 inch off of the end of my paper. That way it's going to fit into my MISTI and I don't have to worry about it. So I decided that I wanted to, see how it fits now? Perfectly, beautifully, love it. I decided that I wanted to do something that was bright and light and kind of airy and fun with this project. And I wanted to work, I'm really enjoying kind of mixing up and playing with, kind of funky colors. So you'll see what I do as I go. So let me get this big stamp off of here. You can see how big this is. It's absolutely gorgeous. All of our stamps are photopolymer, all of our clear stamps, because we do have some rubber stamps. But all of our clear stamps are photopolymer made here in the USA. I'm going to put this off to the side a little bit. And yeah, you're going to see me waste a little bit, so to speak. But I'm going to use this area here to kind of brush off, to when I'm testing my colors and kind of cleaning my brush a little bit. I'm going to do that off to the side here. So I'm going to lay this on here. And I decided I wanted this, I started to say already, to be light and airy. And so I'm actually going to stamp this with an embossing ink, aka Watermark. All right. The original name is Watermark. I think some companies will name it embossing ink so that you know that it can be used for embossing but technically it was always called Watermark in my day. I guess I'm dating myself. So I am going to stamp it with that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to emboss it in white. So it's going to be hard to see because it's going to be white on white, but it's going to be absolutely beautiful when it's done. So I've got now this is something, I think I've had this for 20 years. It's just a little anti-static little pouch. So you want to apply this first. That's going to help make sure that any extra embossing powder that you end up with on your paper doesn't get stuck there. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and, let me see, I've got my Stampendable ready to go. You know what, I've got a little shout out to the Stampendable. We are completely out of the Stampendable. I know if you were to go to our store locator, there are a lot of retail stores that still have the Stampendable in stock. And I know with Christmas coming, this might be, a really great gift, a great stocking stuffer. We do not expect to get this back in stock for a little while yet. As everybody knows, the issues with international shipping, it's just kind of crazy. So, we do have more on order. We have it in production. I don't have a date for when we're going to have it yet. I can tell you with absolute certainty we're not going to have them before the end of the year. So if you want a Stampendable, do not wait for us. I want you to go to our store locator on our website. It's under the About Us tab up at the top. And look for, you know, a store near you, your favorite store, whatever it is. And know that whatever stock they have is the only stock they're going to have before the year is up as well. So if you want one, I would get it now. Or if you want to give it as a gift, get it now. So I'm going to stamp this a couple of times. If you're not familiar with the Stampendable, what I'm doing is using the Stampendable to apply even pressure across this stamp. This is the perfect example of the type of stamp that you would use this on, or that you would get the best effects with, because it is it's a large stamp. And so the Stampendable is not only easy for me, it's very, very lightweight, easy for me to hold on to, even though I have arthritis in my hands. But it helps me to put even pressure across this stamp so that it stamps more evenly instead of trying to give it CPR like this. All right, so I've done that a couple of times. And let's see where we are. Boy. I'm going to go ahead and, oop, now I just made a mess. Look at that. Oy vey. This is why I shouldn't do stuff with my arms all stretched out. Let's move that out of the way. Get this a little bit closer to me. Okay, just get that embossing powder on there. Turn that around, get the other side. I think I'm missing a little spot here. I don't know if you guys can see, but I can see that I'm missing some little areas. So, you know, you just kind of keep reapplying until you get it everywhere. There we go. Okay. And it is white on white, so you're not going to be able to see it very well. I made a little bit of a mess. Oh, look at that. What a mess. I'm a messy girl. Alan, I'm going to need you to rinse this off.
Can we vacuum it out?
No, just rinse that up, please, in the sink. Okay.
You mean in the magic stamping?
In the magic what?
Magic stamping pool?
In the magic stamping pool. That's what he's calling the sink. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this heated up. So I apologize for the noise. I do heat it up first so that I don't have to have the heat on the paper for too long. All right, this is going to take me just a moment. There we go. And yes, the paper is going to curl a little bit, just from the heat, kind of shrinks. It's a big stamp, so this is going to take a moment. Make sure I get it all. All right, now I'm going to get the back side a little bit. Just to kind of even that out a bit so it doesn't curl quite as much. Okay. So I'm going to let this cool. Yay. All right, so I'm going to set that aside for a moment and let that cool. I have got, actually that's not the tape I want. Where's my tape? This is the tape I want. Isn't this the coolest little thing? I actually went, this is not me bragging, I just want to tell you this because I think it's really neat. I've never seen anything like this here in the United States. And now, as I'm telling this, you guys are probably going to say, oh my gosh, I've seen that everywhere. But I have never seen one in the United States. I was invited to Norway. A friend of mine there in a store that carries, that stocks our products, actually invited me out to teach some classes. And we went to an office, kind of a, it was a really, really quaint little store that had like really unique like office products for like, you know, decorating your office. And they had this thing there and I thought it was the coolest thing. And now you can actually slit your wrists on this thing, so you got to be careful. But, and I've cut myself on it. But I remember buying this and I thought, I'm never going to use that. You know what? I use this thing all the time. And I've got washi tape on it and I love it. I absolutely love it. So, okay, this I think is cool now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with, where is it? 1A. So I've got my 1A. I don't know if you can see that. Alan, will you come into camera? There we go. Yeah. So do you see how it's embossed? I don't know if you can see the image very well, but let me get it in the camera. There you go. So you can see that white embossing. Isn't that beautiful? This area over here, I have no color. I brush off any extra of that little powder that goes on there. So now I have 1A, and I'm going to line this up, and I am going to tape it down. So let me see. Do I have it upside down? Did I stamp it the wrong way? Uh-oh. I think I stamped it backwards. Oh my gosh. The light in here is not great right now because I have the light on overhead. It's so, like, so overlit. All right, so there we go. Hard to do. I have too much light.
Can we turn the light on?
No, I'll figure it out.
Just a second.
No, it's okay. I'll figure it out. I just, it's so overlit in here right now for you guys that I'm having a hard time seeing. Okay. This was not part of the plan. I didn't. So I've got that taped. I'm actually going to turn this. So I'm going to be doing this upside down because I'm right-handed and I want to brush off on that side. So I've got a couple of pinks here that I've chosen to work with. I'm going to be using my hybrid inks. And so I've chosen Soft Kisses and Tickled Pink. So I'm always going to start with light and then do dark. So stencil A will be light and stencil B will be the dark color. Okay. Now you're going to see this is my nasty looking cloth. All right. This is where I brush off a lot of color. I like to make sure that, you know, my brush does not have a lot of excess. So this is the brush I use for pink, be it light pink or dark pink. And you can see right now that I'm brushing dark pink off of it. All right. So I'm just cleaning my brush a little bit. All right. So I'm going to grab my lighter pink, which is Soft Kisses. Fill up with that. Do my little test. See, there's my little test. That's why I want to have that little space there. You could do that in a separate piece of paper if you want. And I'm just going to go very light. In here, in each of the little cutouts with Soft Kisses. Very light. That's all there is to it. Now you can start seeing where it was stenciled. Isn't that white stencil? I'm sorry, embossed. That white emboss is just gorgeous. So that is the first stencil. I'm going to go ahead and wipe that up. Get my tape off of here because I can reuse this tape. Set my stencil aside and I'm going to go to my next stencil, which is 1B. I'm going to flip it around because I'm actually using everything upside down right now because I stamped upside down. But I can see where those little outlines need to line up. Hopefully you guys can see that too. And you see how easy it is to lay that on there? No matter where I would have stamped that on my page, I can line it up because I have those little registration, I just wouldn't call them registration marks, but they're outlines. So notice I'm not having to place my stencil in the corner of anything. It doesn't have to be in the corner of my page. It doesn't matter at all because I have the little outlines on there already on the stencil itself. Very easy. So I'm going now into, what color is it? Tickled pink. There you go. Tickled pink. So this one is definitely brighter. It's going to stencil over some of what I've already stenciled. But you're going to see a beautiful two-tone when I remove this stencil. And this is so easy to do. You know, if you don't, look how gorgeous that is. You don't want to color, you don't feel like coloring, you don't have time to color, all right? Whatever it is. Let me just get this cleaned off. Stencils are the easiest way to go. I love them. So now I'm going to change from pink and I'm going to go to yellow. So I've got two yellow inks here. My first one is Banana Cream Pie, that's my light yellow. And then I've got Lantern Yellow, which is so bright, it's so gorgeous. So I'm going to grab, this is stencil 2A. So now you can see, actually I don't know if you can see, let's see if you can see. See my little registration mark there? That's the flower right there that I just stenciled in pink. So I can lay that right over the top of that one. The outline fits it perfectly. All of those outlines are going to lay over the pink that I just stenciled beautifully. I don't know if you can, I don't think you can see it on the camera, but it makes it so easy to line everything up. All right, so let me go ahead and get my brush cleaned off for my yellow. Right into my Banana Cream Pie. And let's get those stenciled up. Kind of a light yellow. Really easy, really pretty. Look how gorgeous. Just perfect. Perfect every time. This is one of those things that is just great too. You could sit and do this in front of the television. You could give kids this to craft with. It's so easy. I always think, when I think of this kind of thing, I always think this would just be like such a fun craft project if I were in school. So this one is now stencil 2B. So like if I were a kid or if I were a teacher, this is something that I would love to have my kids do. Let me line up. I'm actually looking at these registration marks. You see them on there? There you go. They're catching the light. See those registration marks? I'm lining those up with what the colors that I can see through that I've already stenciled. Makes it really easy. Lantern Yellow, this one is really bright. Gorgeous. So Sharon Gullickson is asking, can you tell us what the advantage is with layered stencil system versus layered stamps? Here's what well,
Then no.
well, here's what I would say the advantage is. if I had layered stamps to achieve this and do it as easy as this, all right, first of all, if I had a whole bunch of stamps, I would have to figure out where they're going to stamp, and I would, you know, and it wouldn't be quite as fast, all right? If I had one big stamp that was the size of this stamp, and it had only different pieces on it, I would have to have 8 different stamps in this size to achieve this, which would be incredibly expensive. Stencils are very inexpensive. Well, they are. I mean, compared to to buy a set of 8 of these stencils, I think it's, what does this retail at? Is it, I want to say $19.99 for the 8 stencils, and these are slimline size. You know, the one stamp set, the one stamp that size costs that. So if you had 8 of those, that would be really, really expensive. It also gives you a different look. I love the look that that I get when I'm blending color with the brush. It's a really smooth and beautiful look. I get to control the amount of color that I put on. When you're stamping, you don't really get to control the amount of color. You ink it, you stamp it, that's the color you get. You can stamp it over and over and over again, but you can't lightly stamp it to get really soft color. Whereas with this, I can lightly, oh, I didn't line that up right. When I'm stenciling like this, I can lightly, I can apply the ink very, very soft and gentle. Yeah, hold on. So that I control the amount of, the intensity of the color. Okay, so this one is stencil 3A. So now we're moving on to blues. So my lightest blue is Marina Madness. You guys see me use this one all the time. It's my favorite blue. And then Bally Blue is going to be the darker blue. So I have the brush that I use for my blue-green. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that that is clean. Pick up some of my color. Always brush off a little bit. And then start going. So I'm doing this really, really gentle, or gently, I should say, so that I don't get a whole lot of color on here. That's not something you can do with stamps. If you stamp really gently, it's going to be spotty. You know, you might not stamp the entire image. There we go. Marina Madness. Let's move that one over so that I don't use the wrong one. Look how pretty. Pretty, pretty. That, by the way, was a great question, Sharon. Thank you for that. All right, so now we're on to stencil 3B. Let me get these lined up, lining up my little registration marks. Let me make sure I've got them up there right. Looks good. Little outlines. I guess they're not registration marks, they're little outlines. And now I'm going to use Bally Blue, which is a brighter color. It's like the next shade up from Marina Madness. Wow, it is pouring here tonight. I can hear the rain outside. Alrighty, so there is Bali Blue. Look at how gorgeous. I think these colors are so pretty. I'm really, really enjoying bright colors and lots of white. I've got to admit, it took me a little while. I used to fill up all of my backgrounds with all kinds of things, and it took me a little while to get used to having more white. It took me a while to get comfortable with that, and just to allow that white space. But I love it now. Okay, so now I'm moving on to 4A. 4A and 4B are all about doing the foliage on here. So let me line this up using my little marks on here to get it all squared away best I can. You know, and it's okay if, you know, when you line it up, if it's a tiny bit off, it's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. All right, so now I'm going to move on to my final color. I decided to work with gray. I did this once on a card for when we were creating this collection, and my husband thought I was crazy using gray on the leaves, and I just thought it was so pretty, so I thought that I would show you guys here what I did. I've only got one gray ink pad, and it's actually called Alloy.
Are you trying to show how crazy I am, or
no,
how crazy you are?
I'm not crazy. They think I'm crazy. So I'm going to go very light over the leaves with this gray, so it's really soft. All right, just make circles until you're happy with it. To keep moving my head around because the light makes it hard for me to see. You know, when I've got white on white. So I'm looking through a white stencil onto white paper. So I have to make sure that I catch all the areas that have to have color. We have so many lights on in here. You would be surprised, I think, if you saw all the lights that we have going on in here and how it doesn't look so washed out to you guys. A lot of that light gets absorbed by the cameras, I think. Okay, there we go. So that is my layer 1 of the gray leaves. Isn't that so pretty? It's going to get better. I think it's really pretty. I'm going to go ahead and wipe the stencil off. And then I'm going to grab my last stencil. This is stencil 4B. Layer this right back over top there. And get it lined up right. There we go. I think that might be over a little bit. There we go. I'm going to use the same color again. So I'm using Alloy. So Alloy once again. Kim McDaniel is asking, does everyone use one brush per color or a group of colors? That's a really good question. Here's what I will tell you I do. Because I don't necessarily have one brush for every single color. But like these are my greens and I've gone real dark on this green. If I were to go more with like lime greens, I might grab another brush to do that. I do have two brushes for my blues. One of them, this is like a really, really, like for my dark blues. This is for my blue greens. As long as you clean them off like this, you should be able to do that. I've got yellow and orange separately. You can see I actually hit it with blue, but I've got yellow and orange separately. This is my gray, and this is my purples and pinks. I have another one for red that's actually over at my other station. So, you know, do whatever you are comfortable with. I would encourage you to, you know, clean off your brushes a bit when you're done with them. And I mean, I just clean mine off, seriously. You can see where I do it. I clean them off on my, kind of, just a little, this is like a little craft towel.
Does the color reactivate when you use the next color in it?
Yes, the color does reactivate when you, yes, it will. Yes, yes. Your hybrid inks and a lot of your inks will react. Alan asked the question, does the color reactivate? If I were to use, let's say, grab yellow on this one and I had ink left over on here, the colors would blend together. Hybrid inks are going to blend together. They're going to reactivate each other. A lot of your inks will reactivate. I couldn't speak to specific brands and stuff like that, but I know a lot of them will reactivate each other. I know Distress inks will reactivate each other, for example, because I've worked with them. And it's a plus and a minus. As long as you know that it happens, then you craft accordingly. So I'm now using my alloy and I'm going over it several times now to make it even darker with this second stencil so that we can see how that color has been layered. This is going to give me those little shadows on the leaves. Because I want this to be darker, notice I'm not even brushing off my brush. I'm coming right from my ink pad to my stencil because I want that color to be darker. And you know, some of our colors in our lineup are designed to be light. So alloy is one of those. This is not a really dark gray. This is not a heavy, heavy gray. You know, we intentionally chose a lighter gray because I didn't want it to be so intense. If you look at, let's see, periwinkle. We have, there's another one, it's called fairy dust. Okay, fairy dust is, I believe, is the one that is, there's fairy dust and then there's, I think periwinkle is next. Fairy dust is incredibly light. It's not necessarily meant to be stamping characters and sentiments. It's designed to be really, really soft. It's a lead-in color, okay? It's a color that you use first, and then you layer your darker colors on top of it. So know that some of the colors are designed like that. Look how pretty. So, so, so pretty. So now you can see that two-tone of that gray, and you can see like here where, you know, we've got the shadows on those leaves. And it's just really, really pretty. So let me get this cleaned off real quick. Alan thought I was nuts. He was like, why do you have gray leaves? And I said, it's a design choice. I think it's pretty. So that's why I have gray leaves. So I hope you guys like it. I think it's really, really lovely. Let me get this one and clean this off a bit. Okay, so next up is going to be, let me put my stencils away. Alan, you want to come back up to camera too? All right, so we're already at 7:45 here, so I'm not going to go through the die cutting. So I showed you how I did the stenciling. And now I'm going to show you what I have here. My goal really was to show you how to layer up that stencil. And so now I've already gone ahead and used the die to die cut it. You can see it's the same image. It looks exactly the same. Okay. Isn't it pretty? Yay. Okay. So let me set this one aside. So I've already die cut it. Actually, Alan, you want to come in closer to 3? With it die cut, I don't know if you can see some of that white. Like these are like little berries here. I don't know if they catch the light or not. Let me lower it down. Yeah, there we go. They catch the light. So you can see that white embossing. Again, much easier to see in person. You see that up here on this side over here? It's really pretty. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you.
Go back out or stay?
Yeah, you can go back out. So what I used was this largest outer die here to cut it. The next thing I want to show you is this this die set, the slimline die set. This is where Alan is going to get involved in crafting. Yay!
I actually have been thinking about a project.
Oh, you've been thinking about a project? Do we need to craft together?
It started with an inspirational color palette.
Okay.
I won't tell you any more than that.
All right, so Alan said he's been thinking about a project and he was inspired by a color palette. So he won't tell me anymore. All right, well, we'll have to see where that ends up.
Probably nowhere.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about this largest die here. So, and traditionally, your slimline die set is going to, ours are going to have pieces like this, where you have this outer die here, and then you have this one, which is for layering. So this is like your largest. That gives you the shape of your card topper, right? Let me move this over. This gives you the shape of your card topper. This one is a beautiful diagonal stitched postage frame. And then you have the layered piece here that will either cut that into, cut out the center and cut that into a frame, or you can cut it separately and have a beautiful layering piece. And then we always give all kinds of other little accessory dies. This one happens to have beautiful dies that you can use for frames. You can create windows and dimensional, focal points and layering pieces. We've got there's actually 2 dies here for label. It's a label set, so it's great for like your sentiments. 12 dies in total in this set. So this is typically what you get. And this is the one here that is 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. All right. That is our standard slimline topper size. Now, if you want to cut your card bases to that size, you can do so. If you want to cut your card bases a little bit larger, you can do that as well. I have used those 2 outermost dies to already cut my card topper, which is my diagonal stitched. Alan, you want to come in and show that diagonal stitch on that? All right, so you can see that beautiful stitching on that one. All right, look at the little corner pieces. It's like a double corner, so pretty. And then I used that other die, the second one, to cut, let's go this way, to cut a separate piece. And this is going to be popped up and create dimension on top of the postage one. But this is the die I want to talk to you about. Let's go back out, Alan. This is the largest die. This was new in our Christmas collection. This has a blade that wraps along both of the short sides and one of the long sides. This other long side here is flat. It does not have a blade. So if you have this die at home, or the elegant, what is it called? Elegant stitched, elegant edge, I think it's called. If you have one of those and your largest die does not cut a full rectangle, it's because it intentionally does not have a blade on that other side, on that 4th long side. How do you use this? I have a piece of cardstock here that is, it's already 8 1/2 inches in the width, and I scored it at 4 inches. So I think this is like 8 by 8, and I scored it at 4. You don't have to do 8 by 8, like whatever size, as long as it's big enough. All right. So that flat edge that's there, that flat edge, you want to position on that fold. This is my fold. Okay. position that over the fold. So see, over means it goes over the fold, all right, outside of the fold. So I'm going to tape this down. Where's my tape? I'm going to tape this down so that Alan can run this through the machine, the die cutting machine. Now, because my die is already 8.5 inches wide, my paper is 8.5 inches wide as well. I'm just being careful that I get that blade on the edge of the paper. You know, if you want to use a paper that's a little bit longer than that, feel free to do so. All right, so let me get this into position. I'm being careful not to get this tape on my card base because it's a really strong tape. It's not a repositionable tape. So where's my purple tape? I can't find it. Oh, here it is. My purple tape is repositionable. So I'm going to use just a little bit of this just to make sure that we don't have any movement. All right, Alan.
Ma'am.
All right, let's keep this pressed down. Go ahead and do that. So while he runs that through the die cutting machine, I'm going to show you the other pieces that I've done. So I went ahead and I stamped that really sweet with a grateful heart sentiment right there. I stamped it in alloy. We're going to have to probably zoom in on this, but I stamped it in alloy a couple of times so it was good and, you know, very wet ink. And then I quickly applied clear embossing powder over it. So you can emboss with your hybrid inks, with your LDRS Creative hybrid inks. You just want to get it doesn't stay wet for very long, but it stays wet long enough that if you're ready and you have your embossing powder ready, ink it up so it's good and wet. I put a clear embossing powder over it. I went ahead and heated that, and then I cut it with the coordinating die. Then I went ahead with that same die and I cut 3 more pieces in white just because I want to layer them up. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get these layered up really quickly. Elena on our design team does this where she layers these up instead of using foam, and I like to do that technique. I learned it from her, and I like to do it from time to time. A lot of times I like to use foam. I think it's less expensive to use the foam because I tend to work with Neenah Classic Crest cardstock, which is costly. And if I'm doing larger die cuts, I don't want to necessarily do multiples of those. So it depends on, you know, what it's for as well. So sometimes I will splurge and do that. But for little pieces like this, I actually cut these out of little scrap pieces that I had. So it's a great way to use scraps. And so I'm layering up 4 of these, and what that gives me is, gives me thickness, it gives me dimension. Alan, you want to come into camera 3? There we go. That gives me dimension. See how thick that is? So now we're about maybe 1/8 of an inch or so thick. I'm going to press this because I don't want it to slide. Just press that for a moment. I'm going to set that aside and actually set my Stampendable on it just to keep that in position. So here we go. So this is our envelope. Let me put this the other way. Okay. Undo this. You can see when I flip this over that our die cut through 2 layers of that Neenah Classic Crest cardstock. These dies cut very well. Let me remove this tape and do it slowly because I don't want it to tear. Now, with this particular die set, this largest die gives you a standard rectangle. All right, with the elegant shape, the elegant slimline that we have, it gives you a card base that is the same shape as the card topper die. With this one, it wouldn't work as well because it's, you know, so intricately cut. But here is my card base. Look how perfect. Perfect. All right, perfect size, perfect shape. And I didn't have to measure a doggone thing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start layering this up. Where's my foam tape? Because you guys know how I am. This is going to have a lot of white. Oh, Alan! What could happen to my glue? Can you go wipe that? Not on your hand. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I don't need that.
Oopsie. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put foam tape under here. Where's the end? Why can't I see the end? I do want this to be sturdy. So, meaning I don't want it to dip in the center, so that's why I'm going to use 3 pieces here. This is the Scotch brand. I love this stuff. All right, let's center that. I think that looks pretty good. I don't want to get my head in the camera. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this piece. Layer this up. I think I can get away with 2 pieces on this one. That should give it plenty of support. Make sure I'm centering. There we go. And now I'm actually going to do the same thing with this one because I want to have a lot of dimension on here. So let me see. Right down the center. I need to trim this corner a little bit here. And I do want to offer a little bit of support to some of these areas. So I'm going to trim these down a bit. Just kind of piece this together. Little ins and outs, little dips. I don't know if that's going to work. No, that's going to be too thick. There we go. But I have this piece here, next to all these little pieces. Just kind of piece it together. And then maybe one little piece over here. And I think that's going to give me enough support. I could add little pieces in there. And maybe I will once, you know, but I don't think I'm going to need it. I'm not actually putting this one through the mail. So, you know, if you find that you're going to send it out you might want to reinforce some of those little areas more underneath. Come on. There we go. Right on top. Try and center this a little bit. I love that it overhangs a little. Let's see if I have it centered kind of from right to left. I think I do. I just have it laying there gently. I'm going to pick that back up and move it over a tiny little bit. Yep, I'm going to go with that. Now where did I put that sentiment? It's underneath my Stampendable. There it is. So under here, I'm actually going to put some tape. Double-sided, a good strong double-sided tape. And I've already got the dimension on here. Make sure this is going in the right direction. And I decided that I wanted to put this right in the center. I think it's really pretty right there. Gosh, I hope I have that centered. I think it looks pretty good. It's straight. I think we're good. So I'm going to press that down. And then I think we're done. So that is tonight's card. Yay! Look at all the dimension on that. Isn't that beautiful? You can handwrite something on the inside. I love the gray leaves. You can see the white emboss all over it. The little white embossed berries over here, they just kind of shine. They're so pretty. So there you go. There we have it. I hope you like it. Yay. All right, Mr. Hunt, you want to switch the camera back for us?
Where are we going? One?
Go back to one.
Hi.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I like that. I think it looks pretty. Alrighty, so everybody, it is that time again. It's time for a giveaway. What are we going to give away? I think, what should we give away, Alan?
No comment.
Let's do a giveaway of,
Let's do like a Jimmy Kimmel's Wife giveaway where we give away something of yours.
give away something of mine. You're funny. You are so funny. You know what? How about...
Oh, no.
No, there's nothing in there.
Someone ate all of those.
No, I'm serious. I'm trying to think. I'm looking around and I'm thinking about what we could do for a giveaway. How about we give away the stamp, the Thankful Flower stamp.
Okay.
All right. So I don't have it packaged right now. I will get it packaged real quick so that I can show you. Oh my gosh, I have a mess. So everybody, you have a moment right now to get a comment out there. So we draw the name from the comments. So if you have not commented yet, get a comment out there very quickly because I'm just about done putting this away. And when I am done, Mr. Hunt will hopefully have a name for me to look at. I'm missing pieces. I've got a mess. If you guys could see the little mess that I've created over here. Ah, here it is. What have we got going on, honey?
What do you mean?
All right, so this is the Thankful Flowers. I'm going to get this in here so I can hold it up. People can see what the giveaway is. Thankful Flowers, except you'll get a new one. It won't be my used one. Sharon Gullickson, you have won the Thankful Flowers Slimline stamp set, 4x8 stamp set. Yay! Ooh, 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 ooh. Congratulations, Sharon. Yay! All right, Sharon, you know the drill. I need you, please, to send your name and contact information, your complete mailing address. Send it to customer service at ldrscreative.com, and we will get your Thankful Flowers Slimline stamp set out to you right away. Yay! All right, everybody, we are 5 minutes over time. How does the time go so fast? I have no idea. So thank you once again for joining us, and it has been an absolute pleasure. I have so enjoyed making this card, and I really love how it turned out. I really did not know how it was going to turn out because I didn't piece it all together. I just kind of had parts, so I was hoping it was going to work. So again, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, and you know, at the very, very least, I hope you had fun. We will see you same time, same place next week, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a great rest of the week and weekend.